When I was at the academy, one of the great things that I had access to was we were sort of kind of a hub of fencing activity in a way. And I got access to not only all the records of the fencing matches from the Cornell team, but lots of the records of matches from a lot of other schools that Cornell eventually fenced with and so on. And I also had access to a lot of the pool sheets from local tournaments that were not intercollegiate tournaments, just opens, right? So I had a lot of data that I could look at. And then I tried to match up who the fencers were and get to know about that. I wanted to know about the dynamics of this. What did these records have to show me? Well, quite a lot. But one of the things, maybe the most significant thing, is that I noticed that a certain team, to remain unnamed, whenever the match came down to one bout, one touch, when it was la belle, 4-4, next touch wins. Whenever it came down to that, they always lost. Always. I mean, statistically, by accident, you'd think they'd win once in a while. Not these guys. They were as consistent as the sunrise. When it was tight, when it was a tie, and there was one touch left, they'd fall. That puzzled me. Why should that happen? What's going on? So, by different ways and means, I made it by business to find out about their training and their this and that. I was trying to figure out what's their Achilles heel? What's making them do that? And how can they get past it? How can they rehabilitate that so they don't do that all the time? And what I found was, this is my hypothesis, I can't prove it, but here's what I think was going on. There's an old saying, it takes 5 years to make a good fencer. 5 years. And I think that's right. From my experience teaching, I think that's right. Dead right. Trouble is, if you're working with college fencers, you got how many years? You're 1 year short of a good fencer. So they get pretty good, but not really, really good. They learn a lot of technique, but they may not have integrated it all into a coherent whole that they can access as the situation of the moment needs. There's an old saying, a man with a good watch always knows what time it is. A man with 2 good watches is never really sure. And that's what happened to them. They knew too much technique. So when it came down to, this is it, do or die, what's my thing, what's my bread and butter move? What is the move that I can hit anybody with, no matter what happens, I can hit them with it one time. Where's my basics? What am I gonna fall back on? What's my thing? I can make this happen with this move, this is my move, I can do this. This is my baby. I can count on this every time. They didn't have one of those. They had a bunch of stuff that they could do pretty good, but they didn't have a bread and butter move that was theirs that they could make happen all the time. When it came down to that crunch, that pinch, when it's tie score and you gotta do something, you don't invent shit. You go back to basics and do it perfectly. They couldn't do that. They knew too many things. So like, what's the one about the mule that starves to death, being equidistant between 2 piles of hay? Couldn't decide which one to go to? That was their situation. They were caught in the middle. So what's the remedy for that? The remedy for that is to start with one thing, train one thing. Well, it doesn't really matter what the thing is. You pick the thing that you like to do, that feels good, that you do best, that you can make that weapon sing when you do this move. When you do this move, the whole cosmos goes, yes, that's it. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's what we had in mind when we created the world. That move. You work that so you can hit anybody with it. Anybody one time, no matter what. And then you build on that. But if you try and do too many things, you wind up, if you try to be everything to everybody, you wind up being nothing to nobody. And this is kind of the same principle. Training time is divided out. If you got 10 techniques to work on and you got an hour to work on them, do the math. How much attention does each technique get? You got one technique to work on and you work on that for an hour. See the difference? Do the math. Old Persian proverb, beware the opponent who knows only one move and practices it all the time.